Hello, this is a recording for parents. My name is Catherine Sanders and I'm a clinical psychologist. I work at Our Place and my specialty is family therapy. That means we work with a lot of children and families going through difficult times. At the moment, we are all going through a difficult time, and parents of young children are going through a particularly difficult time. One or more of you may have lost your jobs. There may be older family members for whom you feel responsible, and it's generally a time of uncertainty and distress. One of the things that your children are likely to ask you is, are we going to die? Are we all going to die? And it's hardly surprising children would have got this idea given the amount of media attention that's been given to the illness and death rate following the coronavirus. We all know that the actual death rate is very low. It's more confined to older people and people with underlying health issues. That doesn't mean that any of us are safe, but it does mean that we are unlikely to die. However, our anxiety is very easily picked up by our children. And when our children ask us, "Mummy, are you going to die?" or "Is Daddy going to die?" then it can be very challenging to know exactly how to respond to that query. The first thing is you need to be honest. You yourself need to know the facts, that for most people this is a mild illness, and some people don't even know they're ill at all, which is why we need to keep children away from their grandparents, because children at this stage appear to be getting it milder than anyone else. So we need to know about the facts of our current situation, but we also need to know the facts about children's understanding about death and how we should respond to these queries. The first thing is you need to be as calm and relaxed as you physically and humanly can in the circumstances. It's a very difficult question, particularly when it is directed to you. The more anxious you are, the more anxious your children will be. And if you can speak openly and honestly to them about this matter, they'll do a lot better. I think you do need to explain to them about not seeing their grandparents, not that their grandparents are going to die, but that they're more at risk, and therefore part of our responsibility, and in fact the responsibility of all of us, is to protect older and more vulnerable people. But going back to the question of, are you going to die? It depends a lot on the age of the child as to how you respond to the question. Little children don't understand death in the way that older children and adults do. Little children don't understand that it's permanent. They believe that it's a bit like going away and you might come back. So a little child, a 3 or 4 year old, at a funeral may be quite joyful and not understand the grief of the adults around them who do understand the permanence and the inevitability of death. Little children also believe it's reversible, and of course all of us as we become adults know that that just isn't the case. By the time children are at school age, they're much more realistic. They understand that it's permanent and that everyone dies in their time. They may actually be quite curious. What is dying like? What does it feel like to die? What happens to your body after you die? And then the one that is actually more difficult for a lot of families to answer is, where do you go when you die? And families range from those who have a secure faith in an afterlife to those who may have a more spiritual understanding, but of a less formal kind. It's worth thinking about how you're going to answer that question as honestly as you can for your children. I guess the truth is none of us really know. We hope, but we don't really know. I guess the thing that is hardest for children, as it is for all of us, is the fear of the unknown, the loss of control that death represents, the separation from family and friends. And this is what will lead to anxiety. So this is a time, perhaps, to speak with your partner, children's mother or father, and to think about how you're going to talk to your children if and when the question comes up. Thank you. I hope you found this useful.